suggest you take a plea deal. But why the fuck would I do that? They told me you're going to go away for a long time, so you better just take a plea deal.
The government labeled them as criminals, but the real story runs much deeper.
Do you realize that the DEA allowed us to do what we did?
The clinics they operated weren't rogue. They functioned within a system that allowed their existence.
Somebody on the inside was leaking information, and before you know it, they kidnapped me, shot at me. I'm like, Brooke, they fucking got us, dude. I've never seen. I'm like, I can't even count how many cars they are right now. Now we got all the unmarked cars all the way around us.
While the pharmaceutical empire reaped billions, those on the ground bore the blame.
I tell Zach, I said, get ready, they're coming. Before I could even say it, I turn around, look down the hallway, 2 front doors. All I see is 4 doors, blah, blah, on both vehicles. Oh, this is gonna get good.
It's time to reveal what has been kept in the shadows.
He asked you for the money, then you had to protect him holding the gun to one of the George brothers. You did all this for him, and he told on you in court.
This is the untold story.
Hi, I'm Kyle Sandler from FederalPrisonTips.com, the host of Beyond the Narrative, Crime and Punishment. Today I got one of my good buddies from Federal Prison, Jason Votrobek. You look really happy this morning. Why do you look so happy this morning, Jason?
Let's get started. I wasn't your good buddy. I'm just. But anyways, you can tell my watch tells time now. I don't have that pretty little black one on there. Mine tells time. So this morning at about, 4:30, I was cut loose, got to cut that thing off. So it's overwhelming. I'm ready.
That was the thing from the home confinement.
Yes. Got a clemency from President Biden. So I got a year off, guys, from Trump, and then President Biden gave us another year off. So it cut me right out the door.
And how long were you supposed to be in for?
15 years.
And why were you in federal prison?
For drug conspiracy and money laundering.
But it wasn't just any drug conspiracy. I mean, we're coming at you from South Florida. So Florida was the epicenter of the opioid crisis, and everybody thinks that the opioid crisis was all about American pain. Now, I know otherwise. I know a lot of things about American pain, but you had your hands in the opioid crisis in a major way. Tell me about the opioids. Tell me about how you got to where you were. Tell me how you got into selling pills in the first place.
Well, I was never really into selling pills. My game was the coke game. So I started out at a young age peddling drugs to some of my buddies just because they wanted to be hooked up. I had a good connect. So I started with just hooking them up. Then I seen potential to make some money. I'm like, why am I doing this for free? I can go to jail over it. So I started peddling on a small level. I worked my way up really, really fast. My connect ended up getting some trouble. So by then, I was already selling kilos of cocaine. So what I did was I got connected in with Bahamas because the prices here were just through the roof. So I want to say towards the end, I was paying between $28,000 to $32,000 for a brick here, making nothing on it. So I was like, I got to do something. So I shot to Bahamas because my family had a house over there. So I gone over there as a kid quite a few times. So I went over there, started to talk around, ask, got to connect. My dude was pretty big. So I started getting bricks, bringing it back. I was paying around $11,000 to $14,000 depending on what shipment and the quality. And I had some problems with my Bahamas Connect because at times you would go over there and he would call you and tell you like, hey, everything's good. Come on. So you show up and then the shipment was already sold or it got stuck in a different island because, Coast Guard or whatever it was hot. So they had to hide out. So you would look around and you see all these same boats waiting. And I'm like, so are they waiting for the same thing? And he's like, come on, man, you know what time it is. So I thought that was a dying thing of people drug smuggling through the Bahamas. No, it's a big thing. It just doesn't do it by 300-400 kilos no more. It's all about 20, 30, 40, 50 kilos on the high end. So like the main shipments would come in. My guy would say like a shipment of 300 bricks or 400 coming in. Well, I was running more dry runs than I was, scoring. So I was like, this has got to end. So I got connected, didn't realize that I grew up with somebody and his family was part of the Cali cartel. He was brought over here late 80s, early 90s. I went to school with him because when the Cali and Medellin cartel were going at it, they were trying to kidnap the kids. So they shipped the sons over here to go to school to keep them from getting kidnapped and killed. And I got plugged in with him. He introduced me to his cousin. And long story short, we ended up getting a couple dry runs. He said he could get the shit on a chip for a certain amount of money. I just had to get it off. So I went to my guy in Bahamas because he didn't deal drugs. What he did was he ran all the underground casinos over there because the Bahamians couldn't gamble.
Okay.
So what he did is he had underground casinos. So he had to connect out of Canada to get all these slot machines and all the stuff snuck in. So he had somebody in custom to get it in. So when I found out that I could get the drugs on the ship out of Colombia, but I had to find a way to get it off. So I went straight to him, was like, so you can get your machines in. Can I get something in? So I gave up a quarter of my shipment to him to get my drugs in. So I did it a couple times, and then somebody on the inside was leaking information, and before you know it, they kidnapped me, shot at me. And so I was sitting on the couch one day holding my daughter, and Zach calls me. You got to remember, Zach Rose was somebody I grew up with. And what happened was he was a doctor shopping. We'll get into that in a little bit. So he was doctor shopping. He ended up meeting somebody, got to connect, and then he needed money. He didn't have enough money to invest. So I'm sitting on the couch one day holding my daughter sleeping on my chest, and he calls me. As he's walking in the door, he's calling me. Are you home? And I'm like, yeah, as he's walking into my door. So he comes in and pitched this story to me about him borrowing some money from me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. I didn't like nothing to do with the pill game because it reminded me of like heroin junkies and like the problems that came with it. So I was like, I want nothing to do with it. This is around 2008. I had plenty of money. I didn't care. And I didn't know nothing about the game. I just did it. I didn't care nothing about it, so I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't trust it.
So at this point, are the Georges and American Paint already up?
George's, yes, they're already up and running. The reason why everybody thinks that American Pain is a thing is because they were the first big guys.
Right.
Not saying they were the biggest, they were the first big guys. The difference between us and the George brothers was we had a bunch of clinics spread out. They were one big one, like a shopping center.
Like Walmart.
Like Walmart's. And if you sit back and think about it, it's about the dumbest thing ever. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really bad to have, you know, like this big show like a Walmart, but just a Walmart of pills. You know, so when we got into the game, we're going to get a little far ahead, but what happened is we looked at everybody looked at how they did stuff. A lot of people kind of wanted to run with them. We wanted to do something different.
So back to this story. Zach comes in, wants some money from you so he can open up his own spot?
To invest with Vinny Colangelo.
Okay.
Right here off of Commercial Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. Yes.
And who was Vinny?
Vinny was a guy out of New York that moved here, been to prison for, I found out later on. But anyways, he owned a couple of clinics here, was up and coming, competing with the George brothers. He was probably the second biggest pain clinic guy at the time. Getting his grip in this area right here, trying to take over and beat the George brothers out. So Zach, I don't know how he met him. I heard rumors of like strip club one night. He was in there partying or whatever, spending a lot of money. So Zach was trying to compete. Next, you know, they started talking. And then he liked him supposedly or whatever. And then was like, I could use somebody like you. And Zach was like, for what or whatever. So he's like, I have clinics. Well, Zach's like, well, I doctor shop. He's like, well, start coming to all my clinics. And I'll start making sure you get maxed out on your pills, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I didn't know none of this. Zach doesn't only tells you what he wants to tell you. That's the problem with Zach. He's very good at what he does. He uses and manipulates everybody for what he wants. And then when he's done with you and gets it, he's done with you, period. Like he makes sure he burns you out. It's crazy how he does stuff. If you read the articles, you'll understand.
So Zach talks you into investing the money?
So for about 3 months, he kept bugging me. And I said, well, why don't you go to your dad? And he's like, my dad doesn't believe in me. He won't give me the money. I said, well, why don't you go to somebody else? He says, nobody will loan me the money. So finally, one day I got tired of it. He only wanted $25,000 at first. And I'm like, dude, just bring me something. So he brings me his like wife's ring, her like watch with diamonds and, you know, a gun, some other stuff or whatever. And I'm like, just give me something, you know? So he gives me all this stuff. I give him $25,000 in cash. And he's supposed to be bringing me $5,000 on top of it, give me $30,000 back.
Okay. So you lent him the money to start up this new clinic with Keon, with this other guy, Vinny or Vic?
Yeah.
Okay. So why is he on social media saying that all you did was sweep up cigarette butts
And stock vending machines.
and stock vending machines?
So when we had Jacksonville Pain started out understaffed, underemployed, everything else, right? So after the money was counted, the employees were tired. Zach would just take off with the money. Allie ran before then. His wife would take a bunch of tips. Everybody's gone. The building was so small, and we shared only like 6 parking spots. So if you watch the documentary American Pain and you see like traffic stop and people running across the street, that's because people were parking everywhere. Everywhere. We see 100 patients a day with 6 parking spots.
Oh, wow.
So the parking lot across the street, the store would rent the parking lot. So he hired some junkie dude to sit out there, and they had to pay like $10 or $20 a park in this parking lot. Everybody was making money off of us. I mean, it was crazy, right? So nobody wanted to do anything. Zach didn't want to hire security at this point. Didn't want to hire nobody to clean or nothing like that. He would just come in and count the money and run. Well, the next door neighbors are getting pissed because there's cigarette butts, trash, all kinds of stuff in the parking lot. So I didn't get into this business to go to jail or piss everybody off. So as me, would go out there at nights at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'd sweep the parking lot. Well, the feds had pictures of it, me sweeping. So it worked out for me during trial, though. It's funny now. But during trial, you know, we really capitalized like, well, Jason was only there to sweep parking lots and, you know, vending machines. He was just an investor to oversee his thing. You know, he didn't have the day-to-day. I mean, look, he's sweeping the parking lot. So, I mean, it worked pretty good. I won, didn't I?
You did. And let's back up just a little bit. So how many clinics did you guys end up doing together, you and Zach?
So I was supposed to have 25% ownership in everything. That was the deal. Because I gave him the 25, and then I gave him initial 50,000 on top of that, 75 grand cash. And the reason why I gave him the initial 50,000 is because he told me, Jason, I want you to come in as a partner. And I was like, no, I really don't want nothing to do with it. Just give me my money back. And he's like, no. He finally told me one day, come on, let's go eat lunch. I'm like, okay, let's go. So he's like, hey, we got to go run an errand real quick. I'm like, well, where are we going? He goes, West Palm. And then we passed West Palm. I'm like, where are we going? So we ended up going to the clinic right here off of Commercial. Okay. And he walks in, and he's like, look at this place, right? So I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, like there's people coming and going, doctors or, you know, nurses. Everybody's doing their thing. It's right on the road. I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, I'm used to like selling drugs in the back alleyway and dark type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like this place has got like a billboard. It's got a name. It's got license on the wall, and cars are going by, cops and everything else. I'm like, okay. So it's starting to ring to me like, this is really legit. So then we leave there and we go to like this attorney, and he's like, man, tell this fucking idiot right here that this shit's legal. And the attorney's like, yeah, it's legal. So he had to sign some paperwork. Then we left and went to this accountant. And he's like, tell this fucking idiot right here. And he always says the same thing. Every place we go, and he said the same thing. And they're like, no, everything's done by the books. So by then he's got the whole, you know, gears in the head thinking like, damn, if this shit's legit, I can have something for my daughter. I'm like, okay, you got my attention. So he's like, well, here's the deal. This is where the red flag should have went off, because I know Zach. He's like, this is what I'm going to do, Jason. He says, I need about another 50,000 plus. I'm like, I got you. He says, what we're going to do is I'm going to learn everything I can here. He brought this kid in called Nubby. He blew his hand off, so he had a little nub. So his name is Ryan Young. And he brought him in to help run dispensary so he can learn everything. So he learned everything, and we were copying everything, like the copies of like all the paperwork, everything. I mean, stealing everything you could possibly take is what Zach was doing. And he's like, we're not going to compete here, because we invested in 2 clinics here in Fort Lauderdale. And he's like, we're going to pull out. We're going to go to Jacksonville, and we're going to cut everybody off, is what the plan was.
And that's what you did.
Yeah, but we did a little bit more, though. So instead of just going up there doing it on our own, we had this little bright idea, because the George brothers were going around, like, you know, threatening everybody, trying to, like, extort and bully people and this and that, being young and dumb. And me and Zach were like, well, we want to be the George brothers, right? Like, let's just steal their patients. I'm like, I'm in. So we found a stripper to go work there. And
at your spot or the George?
No, the George brothers.
At American Paint.
At American Paint.
Okay.
So we got a stripper to go work there, and she,
like a real stripper.
Yeah, a real stripper. Yeah. So we paid her, and she got paid. So the deal was for her to print all the paperwork, like print the, you know, everything, the patient list. And she kept telling us like, no, we can't do it because they're watching me and everybody's got eyes on me. So we're like, the hell with that. So Zach found another way to get the patient list. His name is Pete Tyndall. I don't know if you heard the stories about the portable MRI machine.
Yep, the guy who was doing the MRIs in the back of the
strip club.
Yeah.
So Pete Tyndall had these huge portable semi MRI machines, and what he would do is he would park them and strip club parking lots. And I'm like, oh, why strip club parking lots? Like, that's pretty weird, right? Zach says, no, it's not. He says he runs 24 hours around the clock. You can't have a portable MRI machine sitting in a parking lot that no business or no nothing and people just walking in the semi-rig. He says, strip clubs, he goes, everything's running during the daytime so it doesn't look abnormal because it's in the back. And at nighttime, there's cars there all day long. So he says it looks normal, people walking around.
That makes sense.
I'm like, well, it makes sense. So Zach got in with him because Zach was doctor shopping. I don't know, you know what doctor shopping is?
Yeah, you go to different doctors and get more and more pills.
Yeah, then you become a sponsor.
A friend of mine, Jennifer Freandy, that's why she went to federal prison.
Okay, so he was a sponsor and a doctor shopper. So him and his wife would like split up and take people and they pay everybody, you know, so much to go do it and they give them the pills. And then they would doctor shop also. And that's how they made their living. That's how they hustled and made their money and stuff. So they would have to take everybody
That's a lot
to
of work.
Huh?
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, but the money's unbelievable.
Right.
It's easy money. So the great thing about it is you don't have to stay up all night like you do it during the daytime. You know, all the doctor's office, but during the daytime. So what's so crazy about it is, so Pete had this MRI machine, these huge semi-rigs, but he wasn't scanning nobody. Come to find out, he had like 3 or 4 scans, and then he had it like he was sending the scans off to another country to get read and come back. All he did was set up like an email thing or whatever,
And
was
just
showing
send
like
the
that.
same one.
Same one.
Oh, wow.
So they had like 5
Everybody
or
had
6
the same
different,
shit.
3 or 4 different types of things. So they would just randomly send people all these same MRIs back, like saying that they're messed up. So you'd pay like $350 cash and you would get a messed up MRI that was false with your name and everything on it. So it's actually brilliant because, I mean, how do you prove wrong? You know
You
what I'm
don't
saying?
have to run the MRI machine. You don't have to have any wear and tear on the machine. You just send the same picture over.
I think they had a thing and it just probably made the noise. I don't know. I couldn't. All I know is that he had a money racking thing. So Zach approached him and was like, hey, I'll bring you in as a partner. I don't know the terms of it. Zach left me out of this part. He'll do whatever it takes to make it, right? And so now he's got my money to back him. He's got things going, but we don't have patience. We don't want to start off slow because then it takes too long to build. You can't, why he's working for Vinny, he couldn't tell them because he was scared that they would leak and then he would get, you know, we'd get fired, kicked out of there, or stripped of our percentage, however. So he didn't want to risk that. And I agreed with him. I was like, nah, we don't want to do that. So eventually he talks to Pete. Pete agrees to 25% ownership to give us all the out-of-state patients because he did all the Jeff George patients, all of them. So we get it. We itemize it all. And all I thought we were going to do was call these people and be like, hey, like, we're opening up a new clinic. Come here, blah, blah, blah. Nah. Legendary Zach. We got to put a twist to it. I walk in the clinic one day, and my boy Mike and a few other people are sitting there with feet up on the desk. And they're like, yes, this is American Pain. And I'm like, oh, my God. They're like, yeah, this is American Pain. Your next visit's on what date? And they would give us the date.
Yeah,
We're like, well, your next visit on December 6th is not going to be at the Fort Lauderdale American Pain no more. It's going to be in Jacksonville. It's Jacksonville Pain. If you show up there to that visit, you will be discharged and never come to us again. We have a new clinic just for out-of-state patients. So you're going to show up during your next thing. And they're like, what? And we're like, yeah, we're going to save you a 12-hour round trip. And I told Zach, I said, what the fuck are we doing? He says, we're getting patients. I said, do you realize this is going to cause problems? He says, we got to do what we got to do, right? I'm like, there ain't no turning back now. Fuck it. Let's rock it. So the first day we open, there's a line wrapped around the building.
Of course there is.
So everybody thinks we're American Pain. They're so excited. They're like, oh my God, you saved us 12-hour round trip. The harassment of cops. They were in love. Like they loved it so much. So we were like booming the very first day right out the gate. Well, I guess George Brothers and them show up to work and they're like, hey, we were supposed to have 400 people today. Why is there only 200 people here today? They're like, I don't know. So they call them. They're like, hey, where you at? And they're like, oh, we're at your clinic in Jacksonville. You told us to go.
And they're like, what clinic in Jacksonville?
And they're like, what fucking clinic you talking about? So I guess they call because we got all the discovery or whatever. They call and we're like, hey, you know what the fuck? And they're like, yeah. This is American Pain Satellite. Like so Zach has the secretary saying this shit. So they're like, oh, really? So day 2, they sent up Derek Nolan, which is one of the employees. He's in the thing, Derek's little cousin or whatever, to come to the clinic as a patient to fill us out. Don't ask me how they weeded them out. They weeded this little fucker out, right? So I'm in Zach's office. We're sitting there hanging around talking. And Allie comes in and is like, hey, we got something. Somebody's fishy out front. I'm like, what? She's like, something ain't right. Everything about it doesn't check out. Zach's like, bring him back here. So we bring him back. We question him. Both of us do. And he's acting real fishy. Zach's like, listen, I'm going to discharge you, give you your money back, blah, blah, blah. And Zach's like, something ain't right. I said, I'm going to follow him. So I follow him out the door. He starts walking down the sidewalk. He's on the phone. And he keeps looking back at me, So I follow him about a half mile down the road. And we're in front of like this dealership. And then this like S63 Mercedes pulls out real slow. And he walks around, gets in it, and rolls the window down. And it's Chris George just staring at me. I'm like, fuck, dude, they can get me right now. I got nothing on me. I'm by myself. So I hurry back. I tell Zach, I said, get ready. They're coming. Before I could even say it, I turn around, look down the hallway at the 2 front doors. His Range Rover and that Mercedes come straight to the front door. All I see is 4 doors, plop, plop, on both vehicles. I'm like, oh, this is going to get good. So I already had my gun in my back pocket. Zach takes off, jumps like the little thing, gets in behind the counter with the girls. And if you don't believe me, the police report's on my link tree. Go check it out. I promise you, it's great. You watched it, American Pain.
I've watched American Pain. I've read the police report.
Hey, what did he say in the documentary?
He said they went to check it out. They got over there and you pulled a gun on. Well, actually, I think
he said he pulled a gun on him.
Zach pulled a gun on them. But when you read the police report, you pulled the gun on them.
Zach was hiding behind the thing. They came at me, and they were getting too aggressive with me and everything else. So I pulled the gun to Derek's head, and Derek started, you can't do that. You can't do it, and calls the cops on me. So I buck. I get out of there. As soon as I realize what's going on and they're calling the cops, I get in my car. I'm out of there. I'm leaving. I ain't trying to get caught up in this shit. I'm thinking like, these dudes are gangsters. They don't come in here and told us that if we didn't give them 50% of the business, they're going to beat us up, burn it down, do all this crazy shit to us. I'm like, okay, this is open game, son. This is on. Like, now I'm dealing with some real gangsters or something, right? Nah. As soon as I pulled that gun out, dude.
They were little bitches.
It was mommy. So I was like,
I mean, that's how it was at the end of the American Pain movie, you know? They're big and bad in the whole movie, and it's like, no, I'm going to die. I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
That's what Chris George says at the end of the movie. And then, I mean, one of the things about the George brothers is they told on their own mom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chris George was crying on the phone to his wife, asking her if she'll take the charges for him.
Yeah, I know.
Like, who does that?
That's it. They have that on the American Greed and on American Pain.
I went to trial to keep my baby mom out.
You did?
And my mom.
And
I know that's why I did it.
There's no Rule 35s or anything in your court case, but if you look at the Georges, heck, if you look at Zach's, there's substantial assistance. I actually looked it up right before we started this.
All you got to do, I'm going to post all the articles, everything talks about all this stuff. I told you I was going to come with the facts. I got them. I promise you it's going to get good. Really, really good. I got a lot of dirt that's going to come out on this.
So let me ask about that, because it's you know, I stood up, you know, that you stand up. You talked about in the very beginning how Zach came to you with his tail between his legs, begging for $25,000 to do the first clinic, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he told on you to try and get a lesser sentence. Is that correct?
That's correct.
After he asked you for the money again, and then you had to protect him by holding the gun to one of the George brothers. You did all this for him, and he told on you in court.
So it gets even better than all that.
And then he tells you not to go on social media and tell these stories. And this is why, right? This is why, because he doesn't want people to know that he's a bitch.
He doesn't want people to know he's a rat, yes. And he's a fucking con artist. Zach is all about himself. Zach wants to make everybody else. So he tells me, I got the text, I'm going to expose it all. Says we didn't do anything wrong. But then he turns right around and cries. It says in an article, tears in his eyes, crying to the judge that he messed up and he did wrong. But then to me, he tells me we didn't do anything wrong. He tells me quit living in the past. Well, I got news for you, Zach. Living in the past is when you got on the stand 3 years after the case, 10 years later after you interviewed for American Pain. So I'm glad to be here today, living in the past.
The great thing about it is this stuff lives in eternity on Pacer. And to look at the docket sheet is free. And if somebody doesn't believe us, heck, go to Pacer. It'll cost about $3 to download it. Show me you downloaded it. I'll cash app you the $3.
I'll pay for it.
I don't care. I want people to know the truth because it's on Pacer. Pacer.gov. They can see that, I mean, even your own, like, best buddy who begged you for the money to start this business told on you in the end. And then the George brothers are no better. There's 23 Rule 35s between Chris and Jeff George. They told on their mother, and they should still be in prison for another 20 years apiece, but they're both home now because they told on people.
They told Zach doesn't. We don't even know the full deal of Zach yet. How many people he told on? There's a story about this chick, aka Cindy. We had picked up some kilos of cocaine from her. She was in the pain clinic business, and Zach started having an affair with her. And we pulled up one day to get a kilo of cocaine from her because I had some boys wanting to get hooked up, and I was just doing it for out of thing or whatever because I had plenty of money. I wasn't trying to make no money on it. So what happened was we pull up. I've never met her before, but I knew Zach was messing with her. So Zach asked me, hey, you got your gun? I'm like, yeah, I got it. Why? And he's like, give it to me. So he gets it and puts it on him, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, I don't walk around with guns. I have it in my glove box, but I don't walk around with guns. I'm not a gangster. I try not to stay away from people like that because I don't want to be involved in, something bad. So make a long story short, he walks up to the door, and she gives him a hug and pats him down. And I'm sitting there watching this from the car. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? She takes the gun from him. So he goes in, comes back out with the brick. And I'm like, where's my gun? He's like, she's got it. I'm like, when do I get it back? He goes, I'll get it back later. She wants me to stay at night, but I'm scared. I can't go to sleep. And I'm like, what's the deal? So he tells me about how she hired a hitman to kill her husband because she wanted to take over the business and the drug trade. So the hitman does a drive-by on her husband and hits her son too. Kills her husband. Wow. Shoots the son in the arm, kills the husband. She stages the house, has the hitman come over to get paid and kills the hitman. Gets away with it. But she gets fucked up and brags about it. She's on Dateline. Her story's on Dateline. I have it on my late train. So she brags about it. But the story that they say is different than what the story I've heard, the true story from what I understand, because I've heard from multiple people straight out of her mouth. And she would brag about it all the time. Well, Zach took her down. He put what's-his-name over there to wire up on her. I mean, he went after that, a couple other murders, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know the full extent. Like the George brothers. Everybody, when they got the handcuffs put on, George brothers said they tried to fight at the beginning. That's a lie. They didn't try to fight nothing. They did, dude, as soon as the handcuffs came on, them boys were cooperating just like Zach. Nobody was fighting. They act like they were, but they wasn't. It's all lies.
I mean, it's right there in the docket sheet, substantial assistance. Actually, it says the word substantial assistance on Zach's docket. I just looked at it. Normally it says Rule 35 or 5K1.
I can save y'all money. Just Google his name and put news articles. It's all in there. It says how he cooperated for downward or partial. It's bad.
I mean, he's really bad. It seems as bad as Sammy the Bull Gravano.
No, I think the George brothers got him beat.
Probably do. So
35 of them, or 20 of them. That's pretty good.
Talk about a couple of things I wanted to ask you about. Going back to the very beginning of the story, you're running the coke from the Bahamas, and then you start this coke connect with the Cali cartel. How old are you at this time?
23.
Oh my goodness! And then how old were you when you started with the business with Zach?
24, about turned 25.
And how much money were you guys making when you were doing the pills?
In my prime, we were bringing in around $4 million a month, and we were profiting $2 million of it, split up. With everything I had going on, I'd make anywhere from $600,000 to $800,000 a month, cash.
What are some of the toys you had?
Oh man, just go to my TikTok. You'll see them all.
And I see helicopters, super fast cars, luxury cars.
Between all of us, we had everything probably besides a Bugatti. That's probably the only thing we didn't have, from planes to helicopters to every car, Lamborghini, Ferraris. I mean, when Zach called me one day, I got a funny story to tell you about cars. So Zach tells me, hey man, go by the clinic and grab about $300,000-$400,000 in cash. And he's like, make sure to bring the money machine. And I'm like, the fuck you need a money machine? It's all wrapped up and everything else. So he's like, dude, just fucking bring the money machine and shut up. That's how he talk, right? I'm like, okay, whatever. So I pull up to the Ferrari Lamborghini place, and I have an S550 Mercedes. I pull in, and I walk in, and he's sitting there talking to this guy, like a sales rep in his office. He's like, you got the money? I'm like, yeah. So I go to the car, and I have it in a Publix bag, like the plastic one. And I have this like Sam's like fucking cheap money machine. I walk in, I hand it to him. So he sets the money down, and he says, if you don't have a money machine, I got one right here for you, right? So they like count the money and look at it, make sure it's all legit and stuff. So he's like, is that good enough for my test drive? And they're like, yeah, it's good enough. So they pull the car up on the side, right? And I'll never forget this day. It will always go down. So they pull the car up on the side. Zach gets in, the guy walks on the thing, and I got this other sales rep beside me, and Zach's looking at me, dude, and he's like, wum, wum, wum. And I'm like, oh my God. They have not a fucking clue what this cat's gonna do. And before anything, he has a shit-eating grin on him, dude. And he just starts dumping it, just hitting the paddles. Bah, 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 bah. And this thing is like sliding sideways this way. The building's in the middle of the parking lot, and the thing's like could go out this way. He's sliding sideways. Don't even look, dude. He's catching gears. He's sideways coming out of the parking lot, out in the median, right? And this dude over here is freaking the fuck out. And I look, I'm like, I didn't give him the keys. Why are you yelling at me?
Right.
And dude, all I hear is this thing going on the road, and I hear him come again. And it's 4 lanes, and it's this turning lane down the center, dude. He is fucking doing over 100 mile an hour, dude. And like now there's like 5 salespeople out there, right? And they're all freaking the fuck out. And it'll always go down in memory because the guy, the sales rep in the side, when it turned sideways, all I remember was like this. Like he had foot up on the dash, foot on the ceiling, and he comes back. And Zach, dude, they're like livid. And Zach doesn't pay attention to nobody, right? So like these people are like freaking out and saying shit, dude. And he's like, all right, I'm ready to sign the paperwork. You know, like everything is normal. People are pissed, freaking out. And he's just like, okay, can I sign the paperwork? You know, I'm just thinking like, dude, this, like, they're fucking stupid. Like, I know this cat. So we go in or whatever. And I told Zach, I'm like, which one you getting? He's like, I'm getting that blue one right there on the showroom floor. And I'm thinking like, what the fuck you getting that blue one? Like, it's ugly. Like, there's so many other better ones, right? He's like, trust me, you're going to like what I'm going to do. I'm thinking like, what the fuck is he going to do? So we're in there signing the paperwork. They're pushing this bitch out. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's mad, dude. They push it out. I said, so why are you so fucking mad like that? He goes, the only reason why I bought that one because I wanted to do a burnout on the showroom floor. So the deal is I was going to buy that one, but I get to drive it off the showroom floor.
They ain't gonna let that motherfucker.
So every day was something. Like when he bought the Ferrari, the cop was pulling through the parking lot because we had First Coast Pain like in a shopping center, right? And he's out there ripping donuts in front of the cop just to fuck with the cop. You know what I'm saying? Like it was always something. We went to buy a Range Rover for his wife, and he told the lady, like literally walked out, got in the car, and we were in a Range Rover Sport. And we walk in, it has automatic doors, and like this old lady like tried them, you know what I'm saying? Because we were young.
Yeah.
We were young, we looked young, you know what I'm saying? We dressed nice and stuff, but it didn't look like we come from a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? So he literally opens a door and rips the bag, and money and rubber band money just flies all over the place. And was like, is this a fuck enough money? And like Zach in his famous ways of doing things. And the ladies, like, they're like picking up all the money and stuff. They're like, okay, we'll take you on the test drive and shit. And dude, and he's like fucking telling this lady, because she asked us, like, you mind to ask if I know what y'all do? And he's like, oh, I'm an international drug smuggler. And she like looks, and he's like, you accept dirty money, right? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, you're not going to tell on me, are you? Because, you know, there'd be problems. And I'm just like, oh, I'm sitting in the back seat. I'm like, this motherfucker is going to have us in prison before this is over with, dude. I'm like, this is crazy. We get back, and I'm like, Zach, we're not buying this thing here, are we? He goes, no, get in the vehicle. Let's go. Let's go down to the one down the road, and let's get one there. And I'm like, Zach, why? Well, can we just please show up anywhere and do anything normal? Like, this was daily. Fucking daily with him. And he wants to know why we went to prison.
Speaking of prison, tell me, what were the charges in Florida?
It was money laundering and drug conspiracy. It was just a simple drug conspiracy.
And then what were the charges in Georgia?
The same ones.
How did you beat Georgia, not Florida?
I beat Florida.
Or how did you beat
Georgia.
Florida, not Georgia?
Okay, so Zach famously, so I won the bad case and lost the easy case. So I hired this attorney out of Jacksonville, and he met the feds. I gave him $100,000 to just go to take my case on. I had to give him cash. He goes and meets the feds, and he comes back, and he says, hey, I suggest you take a plea deal. I'm like, well, why the fuck would I do that? They're like, we haven't even seen the evidence. He goes, no, they told me you're going to go away for a long time, so you better just take a plea deal. I'm like, did you see anything? He goes, the feds don't lie. When they tell you they're going to do something. See, at this time, I didn't understand. But today, when they tell you, they tell you. They're not fucking around. I got lucky. So, make a long story short, I was like, fuck you. So I went and hired another attorney. Gave him $50,000 cash. Didn't get no money back. So now I'm already $100,000 in and get nowhere. I got to visit with the feds. So I pay him $50,000. He goes, meets him, does the same fucking thing. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. So I'm stressing to my friend attorney. She's only like 28 at the time. Tiny little blonde, does state stuff, doesn't fuck with the feds. And I kept complaining. She's like, I'll take your case, Jason. I'll take it pro bono. You don't got to pay me none. Only pay me if you win. And I didn't know why she did it. She didn't tell me at the beginning why she did. Let's just tell you, she did it because she didn't want the feds or nobody to know that I was giving her cash off to the side, because of the fact that I was paying for all the legal stuff. I wasn't paying her yet. You know what I'm saying? And I was just paying something so nothing come out of her pocket, cash. Because what the feds do is they're going to go after your lawyers when you're fighting, and they're going to say, hey, how's he paying you, or the money he paying you, know where it's coming from. And when they say, I can't prove it, all they have to do is prove that one penny is illegal money that they're looking for, and they can charge your attorney for money laundering.
Yeah.
So the deal is they approached and said, you're going to make him lose in trial, or you're going to make him take a plea deal. But if he wins and we know that you took money from him, we'll hit you with money laundering, charge you. That's how they threaten your attorneys. That's why your attorneys will lay down.
Wow. That's crazy. And how much time did you ultimately get?
I got 15 years. So my best offer was 15 years, and I refused it after winning Florida. So Florida case was a month long. I had 7 people cooperate against me on stand, point me out. And what really transpired in the Florida case was I swept the parking lot and filled the vending machine.
Vending machines?
Yeah. So I guess if you do any crimes, just load the vending machine, you'll be fine.
Right. That's right. That's what you got.
So looking like the janitor was the best the best cover up as an investor. But when you read the articles, it says Jason Votrobek, investor, not the parking lot sweeper.
So did Zach take the stand against you?
He did, but I had something for him. What he doesn't know is what the great thing about it is. Supposedly his best friend, which I grew up with too, went to birthday parties when we were 5, 6 years old, that far back. Called me one day and was like, "Hey, he's been to prison multiple times, had a bad drug habit," and he tells me, "Hey, Jason, I don't approve what Zach's doing, but he's my boy too. But I want to help you out also." So he tells me, "You need to get the jail phone calls. Zach is saying crazy shit on the jail phone call." So I tell my attorney right away, and she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll get him." She got him. So the great thing about it was you're not allowed to listen to none of his attorney phone calls, but you don't really talk. He don't ever talk to his attorneys. All you have to do is figure out who his dad's number is, because you see numbers. Once you find out who his dad's number is, you just go to his dad's. And the reason why is because every time he met with the prosecutor, who do you think the first person he called?
His dad.
His dad. So I got to know everything the feds were saying, because he would get on there and be like, "Fucking dad, these motherfucking son of a bitches, fuck them, fuck these pieces of shits." And he started cussing. "Fuck this judge. I want to kick this fucking door down, beat his fucking ass, fuck him, and this and that. I'll do any fucking thing. I'll say anything they want me to say to come home. Fuck these I'm coming home. I don't care what I got to say." So we didn't tell the prosecution we had these tapes. So when he gets on the stand, he tells this elaborate story. I got the transcripts. He tells this elaborate story about how we did all this stuff. Everybody's involved. Don't let them lie and everything else, right? My attorney gets up, and they get up, and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Rose, you said all these things, right?" Yeah. And they're like, "Well, can we play clip 1, please?" And Zach's talking about, "Yeah, Dad, I don't give a fuck. I'll tell them anything they want me to tell. I don't care. I'm fucking coming home." So the jury's just like zoned in on him looking, and he's like looking around, and then we play second one where he's talking about wanting to kick the door down, go after the judge because the judge won't give him bond or something. I can't remember the facts. I want to get it right. They were talking about something.
Right.
And he's talking about kicking the door down, beating the judge's ass. So now the judge is like doing this. So Zach, he covers his head. He puts his head down, right?
Oh, my God.
By the third recording, this is where I won. He picks his head up, looks at the jury, and starts laughing. I was like, Brooke looked at me and said, "You're going home. You're going home."
How much time did Zach get?
I think he only did 11 years or under, 10 years maybe. No, he did 7 years. With all the cooperation, everything, did 7 years.
Wow.
Zach, when I tell you these tapes, I'm going to get them. I know who's got them. I just got to get them, and I'm going to post them. They're great. I'm telling you, they're going to make him a star. All in the wrong ways.
So what are you doing now?
So I work for my attorney. So I started a TikTok, went viral. It's under my name. What happened is I started it because I had worked a movie deal out of New York. So they gave me this girl, I'm not going to mention her name, that was like my handler or whatever you want to call it or some shit for the company. It was my way of communicating everything back and forth. So they were like, hey, we want like a little video clip of like all your best stuff. So I'm like, well, TikTok's the best platform. Even though I knew I wasn't allowed to have it, but we all had it while we were on home confinement. But they didn't really trip. So I made the video, and I didn't really realize I posted it. But I guess I just kept sending it, like, okay. I never used it because I was in prison, you know what I'm saying? Never made nothing. And I sent it to her. Next thing you know, like 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, my count was like, I got on her one day and it was just like 5,000 like notifications. I'm like, what the hell? It went viral.
Right. I remember that.
So people were like, you need to tell your story. You need to tell your story. So then the production company was like, hey, we want you to start, doing more content. So I started doing it. And it just went viral. So in 5 weeks of me actually, so there was like 2 weeks that I posted a video. So it was like 7 weeks overall. But in the 5 weeks of me actually doing it, I got right at 49.5 thousand followers in 5 weeks. Yeah. And my snitches in my case, yeah, the rats. You know who you are. I've already exposed a couple of you, but more to come. To continue. They
I mean, everybody was just telling on everybody.
Yeah. So what they were doing, they were calling the BOP and kept trying to find ways to get me taken off. At first, they weren't doing nothing about it. They're just like, whatever, calm down, whatever. So then they came up with this brilliant idea that they feel threatened. So they got a hold of somebody. So somebody flew down from Washington, D.C. and met me. They put me in handcuffs and put me in a room for about 6 hours. And once the guy got there, we sat around a round table and we talked. And I had to hand them my phone. And they deleted everything. And then it took about 5 weeks for me to get cleared. And as soon as I got cleared, somebody had a video of me and posted it like it was me. And they called me right back in and they tried to send me to jail. Luckily, I just handed them the phone. It's like, send it to whoever you want to. It didn't come from me. And their eyes got real big. And I said, here it is. Take it. I'll go get another one. You can send it to whoever you want. And he believed me because whenever I got my shot, I admitted to everything. 'Cause this is how I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do something wrong, I admit to it. Just like I told the prosecution. I got a great story to tell you. We'll back up a little bit. So the day that I had turned myself in at the court hearing, you have like a courtroom, and then you have a booking room right behind the courtroom. I don't know if you know that, right? Mm-hmm. So there's like a jail at the federal courthouses. So on the same floor, but like a couple hallways back, they have a booking room. So you do like DNA, your fingerprints, your video, everything they want from you. Then you walk down the hallway and go right into like the holding tank behind the courtroom. And then you go out in the courtroom, right? They shackle you and bring you out there, do the whole little press show. So it was Bruce DeVille and Janet. I don't remember Janet's last name, but Bruce is a shorter dude and Janet was the ugliest thing ever. Sorry, Janet, I didn't mean to do this. But it was really bad. And we'll have to give the details, you know what I'm saying, because it gives us a really good story. So she's kind of like short, but she's like right here in my face, and she's like sniffing me and asking me, like, I feel like I'm like, she's like right here, and she's like, Votrobek, you gonna work with us? You gonna cooperate? I'm like, no, ma'am. She's like, you sure? I'm like, yes. I said, why would I do that? She's like, I said, isn't that your job to do? Like, find the bad guys or get them or something like that? I'm like, I don't know none. She goes, we know you know. You're going to be, she says, you will be my bitch. And I'm like thinking, like, who the fuck is this lady? Like, tell me I'm going to be your bitch. Like, you're too ugly. Like, I'm not going to be nobody's bitch. Like, you better be a little bit bigger or something. I'm thinking to myself. And then she's like in my, like, sniffing me. And she's like, oh, you're not going to cooperate today? And I'm like, no, ma'am. She goes, you know how much time you're facing? I'm like, no. She's like, oh, it's a lot. She says, you'll be my bitch before this is over with. I promise you. So I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, like, is this how this goes down? Like, is this like true? Like, I mean, is this really real? And like, Bruce is like laughing at me. And I'm thinking, like, is this like bad cop, good cop things? Is this like what they do to fuck with people? I don't know. I've never heard this story in prison from anybody else. So when I was found not guilty, second day that the jury was out, they let us go to lunch. So we're sitting at this little table in front of this little sandwich shop down in Jacksonville in the city. And Jay Taylor, which was my prosecutor, Tyson, and Bruce DeVille, they have to be there every day, right? So they come walking down, me, Brooke, and my mom, and they stop. And like, hey, how you doing, blah, blah. And they're like, you mind if we sit down? They're looking at me, and I'm like, I don't have a problem. I look at Brooke and my mom. They're like, no, you can sit down. So they pull up chairs. They congratulate me. They're like, listen, Votrobek, we know you're going to be found not guilty. My prosecutor's like, I'm a seasoned prosecutor. I've never been beaten on a drug conspiracy ever. He goes, but you're going to whoop me. He says, I congratulate you. And Janet was like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, guys, I don't hold nothing against you. The only people I hate is attorneys because they take your money and tell you they're going to do what they're going to do, and they all leave you hanging.
Right.
I'm like, they're the ones that deserve to fucking, take the bullet, not y'all. I said, you told me from day one what you're going to do to me. I have to respect. I don't like it, but I got to respect it.
Right.
I mean, at the end, that's why,
Exactly.
What they told me what they're going to do. They didn't lie to me. So Jay Taylor, spills his thing to me. But Janet, I was like, so who's bitch?
So my best FBI story is the lead agent, my lead FBI agent. Her name is Clarice Gravel, and I was on the run for 18 months. I got a target letter from the FBI, so I ran, went to Aruba, went to Texas. They finally caught me 18 months later. So we're at sentencing, and my judge passes sentence. I go back to holding, and Agent Gravel's right there on the little railing. I look right deadpan at her. I'm like, have the lamb stop calling, Clarice?
So it gets even so Janet, whatever, and they tell me they respect me. They said that they thought I was going to be the first one to turn because I had a family, and they knew I was a family man and everything else. And she told me that I give you mad respect because, we respect people when they fight and do it right. And I told her,
and Zach was my bitch.
well, they nicknamed him the Golden Child.
Yeah, I saw that. I know. Actually, it's in the court documents.
The Golden
Child.
He got
and that's
nicknamed
because
the Golden
because
Child.
Zach Rose gave him so much information. He was their golden child, and they call him that on Pacer.
Yes.
Pacer.gov. It's the public access to
gotta go check
court
it out.
electronic
Right.
records. It's free to look at the docket, and it'd be like $3 to look at this document.
So, AKA the Golden Child. So
You can't hide from that.
No, you can't. You can't. So my Georgia one's a good one too. How I got hit in Georgia. So they shut my clinic down in Georgia. They finally raided it. They were trying to tie it to Jacksonville. We'll get into that. So they shut it down, and a month later, I'm moving stuff out of my Georgia house. I got to get rid of some stuff because I'm moving on to bigger things. I already had some other stuff in the process. We'll touch on that. So we're going up there to shut my Georgia house down. I had a pretty big house up there, and I didn't need this overhead anymore. So I go up there. My brother's supposed to meet me. I'm giving him all my furniture to my brother so he can have all this nice furniture for his house. Before he gets there, we wake up, me and Jesse, which is one of my other co-defendants, cooperated against me. It's funny that all the guys I grew up with cooperated against me. Yeah. And Roland, the only gay dude on my case, Roland, I don't even fucking know. And
it's like gay dude, the Sandlot.
And I'm like, this is crazy. All the boys I grew up with that are gangsters, they all rat on me. And then this fucking gay dude I barely know just do work, fucking stay solid with me. So I'm like, I guess if you can take a dick that big, I told him all the time.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I said, fuck it. I'm like, know what? I guess you take
feds,
anything.
Right.
So he's always.
I stayed strong too,
So I'm just like, whatever. So anyways, we wake up that morning. We're going to go get a U-Haul. So me and Jesse walk out. We get in his car. He's in the driver's seat, I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm looking at him, I'm talking. And where I stay was like in these back roads, nice neighborhoods, right?
Right.
I lived in this gated community, pull out, and there's these houses that are on some pretty big, plots of land. Not your small little lots, you know what I'm saying? Like half acres. And this one driveway had a hedge. I'll never forget it. It's a tall hedge. And I remember this car backed up, but you couldn't see the car. I just remember looking over at Jesse, talking to him. And when I looked, something caught the corner of my eye because it was like this dude just threw his head up, and I'm like, what the fuck? And this dude's like looking at us when we drive by, and I'm like, Jesse, something just weird just happened. He's like, man, you tripping? I tell him the story. I'm like, dude, I think we're being followed. He's like, no, we're not. So we're in this little Lexus, right? We whip this thing in this gated community entrance. So it's the gate's right here. And you notice there's always a U-turn before them and a U-turn after, unless they tell you to turn on after gate. So we whip in, whip around, and then all of a sudden we're sitting there and the car goes by, but the dude's don't even look at it. He's just driving. Jesse's like, man, I told you were tripping. He was just leaving his house. We pull out, dude. A couple seconds later, he's doing a U-turn. I said, I fucking told you. So we shook his ass. Then we see no, we shook him. So we got like 5 unmarked cars on us, right? We're shaking all of them, like pulling in, e-braking in people's driveways and stuff. And we didn't realize we were never going to beat them because we had a tracking device on the car. Didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
So we counted 17 unmarked cars. And what the great thing was we finally make it to a red light. Now we got all the unmarked cars all the way around us, and none of them were looking at us. We're pulling up, and we're like looking at them, and they're just acting like they're normal, like clear as the day, like everything's right. F-150, cars, trucks, vans, everything. I'm like, what the fuck? So we pull into the U-Haul place, and it's huge. So the building's pretty long, and all the cars parked in front. So we park here, and the front door's over here. And I remember getting out, walking in, and this chick gets like 2 people behind me, and she's pregnant, like straight 7-8 months pregnant. I'm not even thinking that about it, dude. I'm in there talking on the phone, everything else. She's listening to everything. I come out, and when I come out the door to make the left to the car, I see about 10 cars down, somebody's head dips back in a car. So I tell Jesse, I'm like, dude, there's a female down in this car that's dipped her head in. I said, so she's an agent too. So I watched the pregnant lady walk down there and get in that same car. I'm like, the fucking pregnant lady's an agent too. I'm like, oh my God. So we leave because we couldn't get a U-Haul. They pull us over, have a state trooper pull us over. So I'm texting Brooke. I'm like, Brooke, they fucking got us, dude. I've never seen. I'm like, I can't even count how many cars there are right now. There's so many of them. It's crazy. I'm like, we're fucking going. I was like, if you don't hear from me, you know what time it is. She's like, you know, I got you. Don't worry about it. She's like, fuck them fat pigs. And she's texting me. I still got the text message today. She's like, tell them fuckers to go to the donut shop. I'll buy it for them. Fucking pigs, fat ass. Like, she's going in, dogging them out. That's why I love her. She's gangster. Right. So she's going in on them. And so they got them texts too, because when they took my phone, they hooked it in thing, and they're all like, come here, come here. And we're in the holding tank watching. They're like, look at this shit. Look. You know, they're reading their fucking text about fat pigs and shit, and they're all mad. Left me in the holding tank for 3 fucking days over it. So anyways, so they fucking wanted to search my house in Georgia. They didn't have a warrant. So I called Brooke. I'm like, Brooke, we've been here for 3 hours, dude. We're sitting on the curb. I'm like, they want to search the house. What do I do? She goes, anything in there? I said, no. She goes, well, fucking let them search this son of a bitch. Tell them to choke on the dick while they're there, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever. So we pull out and all this unmarked, and then state trooper's last one. So I take a picture, a video for Brooke. I'm like, Brooke, 17 unmarked cars they had watching this that day. They go to the house. They search the fucking house, right? Meanwhile, the head detective, the DEA guy, is helping me call all these U-Haul places, hanging out, cutting the shit with us, me and Jesse, right? He's making phone calls. We're making phone calls. He's doing, next you know, they're done searching. They're all standing there, right? And he's like, man, how the fuck did you know, da-da-da? I'm like, Elvis. I said, you see them fucking chops? Elvis is the one that gave it away. And I said, the pregnant one. And he's like a rookie. So they're all like, oh, you fucking rookie. You know, like, so they're all picking on him. Everybody's laughing, having a good time. So old boy's like, oh, we're done, right? And they're like, hey, we're done. So they all walk out. So the detective was the last one, the main detective, right? He's the last one to walk out, and he's like, yo, boys, have a good one. Close the door. Then he opens it right back up, because me and Jesse were like, holy fuck. He opens it up, and he's like, hey, I forgot one thing. And we're like, me and Jesse are like, what the fuck did you forget? I think y'all took everything. He's like, nope, y'all too. You're under arrest for drug conspiracy, blah, 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 blah. Y'all going to prison, blah, blah, blah. So they come and handcuff us. So they walk me up first, and I turn around and look back. And as soon as they handcuff Jesse and start walking him out, he passes out and hits the ground. So I'm like,
wow.
Fuck. I'm like,
you're dead.
I'm like, dude, I'm fucked.
That's not good.
Fucked. So they had us missing for 3 days, 4 days before our first hearing, I think it was. And they were moving us from like county jail to holding tanks, wouldn't let us call nobody, no nothing. But Brooke is gangster, dude. So when we finally made it to our holding tank in that federal courthouse to get bond that day, the fucking door flies open, dude. And I mean, it was just like Turney's out the yang. Who's da-da-da? Who's rolling? Who's Jason Votrobek? Who's Zach? Or Jesse? Da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, we're all like, whatever. And they're like, and then all the attorneys in one was like, whoever Butler is to you, you are one lucky person. I've never seen nothing like this. Brooke called, found out who the best attorneys were in Atlanta, and then said, who do you work with the best? If you were in trouble, who would you call? And so they did that, and then she screened them and made sure. And I said, why'd you do that? She says, because whenever somebody breaks in this, we know they're ratting. I said, what do you mean? She says, if I have people I work with and we're all on a team and we take a case together and we're all working together because they want to fight, if one starts to cooperate, we won't work as a team. we'll have to separate then. You know what I'm saying? So you'll know right away who's snitching and who's not. She said, so I built a team that are known attorneys that work together. She said, so whenever you know somebody turns, they're going to pull away.
Right.
So Jesse was the first one to fire his attorney, go hire another attorney. She says, there's your weak link. I was like, fuck. So Jesse was telling me, so I got his proffer. So he gave a proffer, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, dude, there's so many lies in here. So I hit him up. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, are you fucking serious? You lying, dude. I called him off somebody else's phone. He's like, I didn't say that shit, blah, blah. I'm going to get my attorneys to fix this and da-da-da-da, right?
Of course.
I tell my attorneys, and they're like, you need to get that on the phone. Well, you can't record here in Florida. You have to tell the person. So they're like, drive to Georgia now and ping off of a tower in Georgia and record the phone conversation. So I get in a vehicle. I drive 4.5 hours to Georgia. I call him again and record the phone conversation because in Georgia, you don't have to tell them.
Right.
So I did that. And then I gave it to my attorneys. They're like, great, we got it. Well, they never used it in trial because they laid down on me. That's a whole nother story. So because my attorneys left me hanging because of the money situation.
Right.
They got me really bad on that. I had dirt on every one of my rats in the Georgia case. My lawyers laid down. I had Brian Steele, Young Thug's attorney.
Right. I remember you telling me that.
And I walked in on him when we had one of my main co-defendants cooperating against me on the stand. And what was so crazy was she was like, we had her so bad. We had so many things on her, dude. It was so bad. And my attorney worked out a deal with her attorney to take it easy so she can keep her plea deal. And I walked in during one of our breaks to my attorneys in the conference room because he was like not asking her and like presenting his evidence. And I went in there to get in his ass, dude. And I walked in him and her attorney, and I remember to this day, her attorney saying to my attorney, I thought you were going to take it easy on her so she can keep her plea deal.
Wow.
What turned my attorneys was I got pulled over one time heading to Atlanta. They had a tracking device on my truck, and they knew there was cash in there. And the feds finally approached my attorney in Georgia because they raided Brooke's house while we were eating lunch one time. So she was out of town. She came into town. We were sitting down at lunch talking about my case while the DEA was kicking her door in to put pressure on her. They harassed her so much that she put a motion in to get off my case and made me drive her 3.5 hours to Jacksonville to get off my own case. And we fought like cat and dogs the whole way. And then she backed out at last minute in front of the judge. She wouldn't do it because of my daughter. And so we won on that one. And then I lost in Georgia because my lawyer was threatened with money laundering.
Shit, that's crazy.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. You just can't prove it. It's not on paper. It's all verbal. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know how to talk.
So the water's bad between you and all the co-defendants that ratted on you now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it, but you didn't have to lie.
Yeah.
You know, because like I told him, so we met with the feds one time. Brooke was like, the feds want to meet with you. I'm like, well, I don't want to meet with them. She goes, I think we need to. And I'm like, why? She says, the strategy is, she says, they want to meet. So we're going to see what they have to say. We can probably learn something. We're not going to talk. We're just going to sit there. It was so funny because Brooke's this tiny little petite little blonde. And she always wear like stripper stilettos and these like nice outfits. And when you hear everywhere, everybody talks at the courthouse, you know when Brooke's coming, all you hear is clang, clang, clang. And she walks like so loud with them, let everybody know, like, yeah, bitch, I'm coming. I'm the bitch. So she's gangster. So she's like, let's do it. So she would go in there, dude. And she's like, watch what I do. And she's like, they thought she was like this dumb blonde, right? She'd be like, really? Oh my God. Like, really? I can't believe this. And like, she just acts so dumb, like never fought a Fed case. So they were just like, whatever, and like, oh my God, like really? And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, dude, you're embarrassing me. And I didn't understand the full extent to it, but I learned in trial what she was doing. So they never took her serious.
Right, that's what she was doing.
She was doing it because she didn't want them to prepare for him. And they're like, dude, Jason's got this dumbass attorney. We're going to walk all over this bitch. Like, we don't even prepare for her. So it was great. We used to laugh about it all the time. So we met with the feds. We get in there, and then they're like, tell us everything. And I looked at them like, I said, Brooke, I said, I thought I wasn't talking. She goes, step out. And then 5 minutes later, she come storming around the corner. Let's fucking go. Fuck these assholes. And I'm like, dude, right in front of everybody. I'm like, oh my God, bro. She's like, well, you're going to trial anyways. Who cares?
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, you're right. Fuck them. They're already mad at me. Who cares? What are they going to do? Lie some more? They're already lying. So they asked me one day, like, Votrobek, like, why don't you just take a plea deal? I said, why don't you tell me what I did wrong? Because we haven't got to the point. Who gave me my license, Kyle? Who allowed me to do this?
The government?
The DEA.
Right. Because
Do you realize that the DEA allowed us to do what we did?
Yeah. I mean, that's the big part of this whole thing.
Did you watch the documentary Hulu on
Yeah, the
Dope Sick?
the dope sick about the Sacklers.
Sackler families knew this was illegal. They passed
I mean, that's the
laws.
thing about when you're talking about meth, you have a corner boy who's selling meth, and then you have the plug the corner boy's buying from, and then you have the plug that plug's buying from, and then you have the top, and you could just keep going up the ladder because everybody's going to go to federal prison, even that top guy. But the top guys here are immune.
Yeah.
They have immunity.
So, sometimes in early 2000 or late 90s, they knew that the Sackler family knew this was going to be a problem. They lied to everybody. So they lobbied Congress to exempt them from prosecution.
Right.
They knew this. And then they had the DEA in their back pocket to approve this stuff and everything else. So they approved it. And then what they did was the George brothers, the reason why, and I'll give them credit for this, they are the first, like, to take it to they're not the first, because Oxys were first. Remember the online thing, how it got real big, and then it was, all this other shit. So they were the first to do what they did, but they weren't the first. They were first. The reason why they took fame is because, like, Vinnie Colangelo was really big too. It was just because American Pain was this Walmart. You notice Jeff doesn't get as much publicity as Chris does because he had the Walmart. It was this huge bank, 4 stories or whatever, hundreds of parking spots, and it was out there people directing with lines and shit. It's like, you stupid fuckers knew what you were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not dumb here, Like, everybody knows what's going on. We know, like, they knew what they were doing. I mean, if you watch and listen to their stuff, it was really bad. Like, they were herding cattle. That's what they called it, herding cattle.
Right.
And, going around bullying people. And this is what kills me the most. Zach came from a rich family. His dad owns a huge company. The George brothers did too. I mean, you seen that Johnny Mitchell thing? Hey, Chris, you're the what do you call him? The Scarface of pharmaceuticals. Like,
yeah, how's he the
what?
Scarface of pharmaceuticals?
Scarface was a gangster.
Right. Chris is just a little rich boy.
Yeah, that ratted on everybody and still ratting to this day. So it's like, come on, dude. Like, how are you a gangster? How are you going to put somebody as, like, Johnny Mitchell needs a tip? Like, what is wrong with you, man? Like, really, dude? I understand you want to get sound bites, but, like, you're going to take Scarface and put it on that face? Nah.
Not a chance. I mean, Scarface didn't tell on 23 people.
No.
23 people. See how many people Chris George and Jeff George told on.
You could see that episode on the Connect. The Connect, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad, guys. It's pretty bad. Just want to let you know, that dude put his own mom in prison.
Chris George and Jeff George put their own mom in prison.
I refused to cooperate ever because I didn't want to they put my mom on a no-fly list. They harassed her for years.
Yeah.
They put her on a no-fly list so she couldn't come see me. Ain't that fucked up?
Yeah.
Then they what they did too is that they audit her every 2 years. My prosecutor sends an audit, a cop at the door. They quit doing it now. But for like first 5 or 6 years, they were like bringing audits. They would pull my ex over. She rode me for 5 years. The DEA would like pull her over and like harass her and shit and stuff because they wanted me to still cooperate. The FBI's been to me twice because I didn't talk about all the cops I had on payroll and stuff like that. We're going to get into the phone tap thing. It's a great story. And how many cops I had on payroll, the DEA, Zach had some inside informants too. It's in the news article.
Yeah, I remember that.
But he tried to wear a wire on him. Yeah, so Mike.
How many cops did you have on payroll?
I ain't going to give a number, but quite a few. I had 2 Coast Guard, somebody pretty big, and then quite a few cops. It was never direct from them. They always would give it to somebody else, and I would compensate them for it to give to them. So I always had somebody in between that took care of them because I never wanted to like bring them, face-to-face type thing.
Right.
But so when my attorneys had got the phone taps, because my phones were tapped, right? And so my attorney calls me one day. It was like, I need to see you now. I mean, now. So I'm like, oh, it was an 8-hour drive. So I'm like, okay. So I just got in my truck and started driving. She's like, well, I didn't mean like today. And I'm like, well, I'm here. And so she's like, well, see me first thing in the morning, right? So I get there, and first thing, she hits play. And it was like, so I was on like a phone call with a couple of my buddies, and at first I start off, I say, okay, everybody say hi to the feds. And everybody's like, hi, feds. And I'm like, okay, everybody tell them to suck a dick to their neck bust. And she pushed pause. She's like, how'd you know your phone was being tapped? I said, who wants to know, you or the feds? She goes, I want to know who. I said, no. Who wants to know and why? Like, my attorneys don't need to know that. Like, that doesn't change the case. So that was kind of alarming to me. Why is my attorneys wanting to know who told me? See, I had a no-touch order either. I don't know if you know about those. So the feds will put a do not disturb thing on you where, like...
Oh, yeah, because nobody else can arrest you.
Nobody can arrest me.
Right.
Because I was being investigated, and how I found out that is that Zach had leaked to somebody something, so I was like, what the hell? So I told my attorney. My attorney was like, man, that doesn't sound normal. So I told one of my sources. So he's like, listen, Jason, you have a DEA federal do not touch on you. Anybody that searches your name has to fill out a report. Like, why are you researching his name? Where are you looking him up? If they run any tag or anything that's put to me, they have to say where it was at. Did they pull him over? Who was in it? Who was driving it? Who had possession of what? They want to know every detail of everything, right? So then it gets even better. So what they do then is they have to like do these full-on reports. So I'm like, no, this ain't true. So it was like me and like 4 or 5 other my buddies, and we're in my F-250. We pull up to a red light, and there's a cop right there. So I fucking blew smoking through the lights sideways, run the red light, and it's right under I-95. So there's 2 lights on each side, right? For off-ramps. I blow to the second one. He chases me down. I swear to God, I got witnesses to back it up. Gets on my ass. Runs my tag. Dude pulls off at the next thing and pulls away. I was like, holy shit, dude, this is real. So I literally was able to we just go around clown, do whatever the fuck we wanted to do. Anything I wanted to do. Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. People ask me, like, why'd you worry? Because, we clown, we did crazy shit. But I didn't clown and do crazy shit until they told me I was going to go to prison. It took them 18 months from the time they raided the first clinic till I was arrested. Yeah. So them 18 months, we just went ham. That's what we just did, anything we wanted to do. But now here it is.
So did you testify against anyone?
No. Why would I do that?
You stayed strong.
Yeah, because they wanted, like I said, they wanted my Bahamas Connect, they wanted my Colombian, and they wanted my Cali Connect. I refused to do it. And what's so funny is I refused to snitch against one of my Cali guys. Right. And one of the guys that was in that operation that I could took down that was one of my best fucking friends, as soon as I got arrested, he owed me some money. I gave him a loan before I went in and had some stuff collateral, just like I did with Zach, with Allie's jewelry. Yeah. She says it wasn't true. Because I loan sharked also. That was one of my hustles. So I had gave him money. And because $3 million, $2 million shipment and $1 million shipment of marijuana coming from Cali got hit. And so he needed some money. So I gave him some money. As soon as I went in, he came to my house and was like, hey, I want all my stuff. So Jamie's like, when I called later that day from jail, she's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, he ain't getting a fucking thing till I get my money. So she told him, like, Jason, you gonna get done. So he says, well, I'll get you for dealing in stolen property if you don't give me my shit by the end of the day. So I called Brooke, and I'm like, Brooke, she's like, tell that motherfucker go ahead and arrest her. I said, no, I got something better. So I call him up. I'm like, listen here, buddy. I said, if your fucking titles and all that bill of sales are not in my fucking mailbox within an hour, I promise you, I will go to the prosecution for fucking free. It was a scare tactic. And let's just say in 30 minutes, I had everything in the mailbox. But I never cooperated.
That's awesome.
Because, you're threatening to put my fucking baby mama in jail. My PSI came back life. L-I-F-E, life. Yeah. That's what they asked for. They revised it to 360 to life.
And you still didn't tell?
No.
The only time they asked me to tell, I was dead to rights on the money that I stole, but I had been John McAfee's campaign manager in 2015, and me and him were very tight. And they wanted to know if I knew if John McAfee had killed Greg Fall. So when they extradited me back from Texas to Alabama, the feds took me for came to the jail to get me 6 days in a row to talk about John McAfee and everything that I knew. But here's the deal. They were giving me McDonald's every day for those 6 days. And I was just telling them bullshit every single day. So finally on the 5th day, they're like, everything you're telling us is not checking out. Are you just doing this for the food? I'm like, goddamn right I am. So they sent me back to the cell.
It's funny you say that because when I got arrested in Georgia, like when you get arrested with the feds, you don't go in the back of a cop car. I sit in the front seat. Yeah. With my hands cuffs like this, right? He pulls into fucking Burger King and orders food, right? And I'm like, hey, you going to put something on that list for me? He looked at me and says, Why would I do that?
I'm hungry,
Myself, I'm
motherfucker.
like, well, fuck you too then. You know, I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck you then. And he's like, well, I ain't your fucking friend. I said, well, I'm not marrying you or blowing you either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm fucking hungry. You're supposed to feed me at least. And he was a fucking cocksucker too, boy. God, was he something else. And he's just sitting there eating it in the parking lot, like looking at me, wouldn't even say 2 words to me, just eating it. And I'm like, dude, I'll get bond in a couple of days. Don't worry about it. And so nobody like me gets a bond. And I found out why I got a bond. So one of Zach's phone calls, he's telling his dad, and he's like, man, I just met with the prosecutor. And he goes, I don't know what the fuck it is with Jason, but they want him. They want him. And this is in the phone call. I'm going to get the copies. And he says, I don't know what he did, but what's the name said he's going to get him on this case, and he's going to charge him with this other drug case and give him life. He's never going to come home. That's what they told me.
Well, I mean, his testimony could have helped with that.
Yeah. When I was found not guilty, listen, I didn't even hear my not guilty verdict. So when the jury came back in, we were doing something, and we were at so the courthouse is 11 stories or whatever, right? And there's 4 courthouses, the elevators, and bathrooms are in the middle. And at the end of each thing is a big glass thing with a bench, right? So I'm sitting at the thing, and all of a sudden you just see the elevator open and just people flying in the courtroom, and I'm like instantly like. Ugh. And they're like, we got a verdict. Y'all got to come back in, dude. And I'm like, I got to shit. No, I don't. I got to shit. I walk in the bathroom like, I got to shit. I don't. I'm like, my stomach, I just had all this, everything was just going crazy. I was like, do I shit or do I not? Like, what do I do, right? So they're like, you got to come. And Brooke's dragging me and holding me. I can't move my legs. And I'm like, ugh, dragging myself. I was just locking up. My stomach was locking up. I couldn't breathe because it was life. No parole, no nothing. I was just like, this is it. I came all the way. This is it. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't. I remember walking in there, and I remember walking in the door, and the whole courtroom was so full, my mom couldn't even get a spot to sit, right? And I remember everybody looking at me. Everybody just turns around, when you're at a wedding, you're walking down the aisle, and everybody's looking at you. That's how what it felt like. And I'm like, I'm not getting married, though. That's the problem. Unless I'm going to get married in prison, what I say? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, this is crazy. So I remember getting to the thing, and we're sitting down, and they say, everybody stand, when the judge comes in, and I can't stand. And they're like, you got to stand. I'm just sitting there locked up, dude. I'm just, I wasn't prepared for this. They got me up. I want to say one of the marshals or something, because they put a marshal behind each one of us, and then they had 2 marshals at the door, so we couldn't run. We're going to get out of the building 11 stories up or some shit. So I remember that the judge getting something from the jury saying that whatever, and I remember him saying that Votrobek's going to be first, right? And he said stand, and I couldn't stand. It was like I was having a heart attack. I was holding my chest, and I remember them coming over and picking me up, making me stand, and I don't even remember the not guilty. The only reason I knew I was not guilty because the way Brooke was crying and holding me is how I knew. It took hours for me to recover that. It was so crazy that I was the next day, I felt like I'd been in a car accident. I was so sore for how tense I got.
How long till they told you that they were going to try you again?
No, I already had been indicted.
You had already been indicted.
Yeah, so both my cases were same exact charges, and they brought all my co-defendants that cooperated against me in Florida to Georgia after I was found not guilty to cooperate on a case that wasn't linked to them, but to talk about a case I was found not guilty in. Just to dirty the water, just to show the jury he hasn't stopped doing what he's doing.
And did your good buddy Zach testify there too?
He couldn't because of the phone calls, or not he would have. Oh. So I was going to cooperate on my behalf, tell my side of the story. And as soon as they found out that they did, they said they had 2 Lear jets warmed up, ready to go with 2 of my co-defendants. They're going to come and cooperate. Said they helped unload kilos of cocaine off my boat. And the 2 that I know that they were talking about never even been a part of my drug operation. Nothing, ever. So it goes back to Zach's phone call. I'll say whatever you want me to say. I'm coming home, Dad.
And he would have.
He would have. And I'll tell you right now, I got the phone calls. It's crazy. When I get my hands back on them.
Sounds like he needs to call you if he's going to post something on social media.
Yeah. Well, he said he's going to sue me.
Yeah. He's probably going to come after me now, too. Bring it, buddy.
It's going to be fun.
I can't wait.
I don't know. It's entertaining
This was great. Now we have the true story about what really happened down there. And Well, down here now, I keep forgetting that I'm down here with you. Down here in Florida.
Yeah. So the main thing is get back to the separates from the George Brothers. The only thing George Brothers did is they built a shopping center. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were doing big things. Me and Zach's model was do 20 small pain clinics and split it up so it doesn't look so big. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our model was like 3-4 doctors, 100 patients a day per clinic, and having a bunch of clinics. So it doesn't look like a shopping center, doesn't put too much pressure on you. And our target was out-of-state patients also. And that's the main
But
thing.
the net down is going to be just more.
So what happened, how the domino effect, everybody says, well, how'd you get in trouble? Well, the George brothers still on their patient list. They showed up. Cops got called. They came that day. Guns were pulled. So instead of them talking about, yeah, we came here to extort them, what they said was, this is part of our clinic. So when they were like, oh, this is part of our clinic, we're not extorting them. We own part of this clinic, and they're screwing us. So what do you think? When the feds are watching them down there and they tell them that that's their clinic, what do you think happened?
They start watching you.
They started watching us. So they started watching us, and we're like, holy shit. So then when I left Zach and went and did my own thing, what do you think the feds did?
Started following you.
Started following me because they thought that was another branch, because Zach was opening up all these pain clinics. So when I went on my own and walked away from Zach, which he never paid me, fucked me out of that money, and I left, they started following me. So it started with the bad choice of the patient list. Don't get me wrong, I think we would end up getting hit eventually because they were doing their thing or whatever, and we were that big. But we would have made it a lot longer, and I don't think it would have been as big as it was. So, but that's the story.
That is a great story, and we went beyond the narrative.
Yep.
That was great. Where can people find you on social media?
Just look up my name. It's all under Jason Votrobek. It's on TikTok, Instagram, getting back up, going again. I'm going to start putting a lot of my good stuff because TikTok, doesn't allow you to talk about juicy stuff. So I'm going to start putting a lot of that good stuff on X.
On X.
Yeah, on X.
I might do that too. You can find me at Federal Prison Tips on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And, of course, on Beyond the Narrative. Don't forget to subscribe at YouTube so you can catch Beyond the Narrative, Crime and Punishment, and Beyond the Narrative.
Yep.
Thanks for joining me, man.
Yep. Same with you, Bo.